The investments will show up in the construction of community service facilities on and around the Blackfeet Indian Reservation in Browning.
So we're looking at a lot of healthcare clinics, wellness centers, behavioral health or opioid recovery centers, in addition to childcare and schools.
The $50 million is part of a larger $5 billion federal investment designed to spur economic growth in low-income urban and rural communities nationwide.
This is Mike Clifford for Public News Service, member and listener supported. Here's some interesting radio stations on your favorite podcast platform. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
You're listening to
Northern Light Public Radio
on 102.7 KCHW.
Tooele.
Good morning. It's KCHW 102.7. We are getting started on a Wednesday with the one and only, Sharon Ludwig. Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning, Scott.
Yay, big round of applause for Sharon. You were up real early, you said. 5 o'clock?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I just woke up and couldn't go back to sleep.
I remember the days when I stayed up all night. And what's up with when you get old that you get up like right as the sun comes up and go to sleep at 9?
There was no sun at 5 out here, let me tell you. Was raining really nicely, though.
Yeah, you guys are kicking off that big storm, and we're going to talk about that. 56 for a high today in Tooele. Showers early, then partly cloudy for the afternoon. Daytime high of 56, overnight low of 40. Then tomorrow, storms past, you're back to sunny skies, 63 and 43. Friday, 68 and 44. Saturday, 66 and 48, and the clouds return. Sunday right now, mostly cloudy, 65 and 47 with a 25% chance of rain. And all the way to next Monday, 67 with a 50% chance of rain. Big storm sweeping across the U.S. You guys are just getting a piece of it in Tooele, but it's supposed to impact more than 30 states from coast to coast. It's leaving you in Tooele, and it's going to come all the way over to Maine. So you could hop on that storm, Sharon, and come see me.
I could, or I could put a message in a bottle and throw it up in the air and send it.
A balloon. A message in a balloon. Hey, I wonder if anybody's ever tried that. All right. Kids this morning, breakfast, mini-cinnies, cereal, fresh fruit, fruit juice, choice of milk. And then for lunchtime today, it's the corn dog, some baked beans, romaine salad, fresh veggies, fresh fruit, and milk choice. There you go, kids, for breakfast and lunch this morning. Well, we've got a big show, don't we, Sharon?
Oh, we do. Some wonderful guests.
Yes, we have Brad Schaefer, Carolyn Jones, Deborah Barbie. They're going to join us, and that's going to get crazy because once you get more than 3-4 people, on a podcast or a Zoom meeting like we do the morning show, the crosstalk can be a little difficult. But they're going to join us, and they're going to be they're all representing the Abundant Life Church, and of course they've got their big auction coming up this weekend, and we'll be covering that briefly in our community events, and then we'll be talking to them from 8 to 8:30 sometime during the morning show, because he just kind of flies by the seat of his pants. I'm kidding. Brandon Hansen is going to join us and hang out for the show, and then at 8:30 Brandon has a special guest from TEDD that is going to be doing a lecture, and he's going to tell us about that lecture. So we have a full show this morning of community events. Sharon, do you have that prep sheet in front of you?
I do.
Well, let's just warm people up with a couple things from the prep sheet. And first thing we have from our Bits and Breaks section is 4 things you didn't know yesterday, and we're going to get those from Sharon.
Okay. Asparagus can grow on Mars.
Really?
Is that amazing?
Wow.
How do they know that? I don't know. Meteorites cause Earth to gain 48 tons a day. I'm so glad I'm not gaining that kind of weight. I was thinking this morning, I weigh myself every morning, and I was thinking, in the last year, you've probably lost 100 pounds, but you've gained 105.
It seems that I got on the scale this morning, Tim. It seems like I've been eating meteorites.
Oh, okay. Bees can count. They don't even have fingers to count on.
You got all those legs, though.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And some butterflies have fake heads on their butts to confuse predators. That's pretty funny.
That's not what I wanted. Wow, I'm still stuck on asparagus. Asparagus can grow on Mars. Is that it can handle those kind of temperature extremes? You wouldn't think so.
I don't know.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right, some killer quotes this morning. Let's see. Happiness is not only about what you have, it's an absence of fear about what can be taken away from you. Wow, that's from Scott Galloway. Another one.
Yeah.
Exercise is a celebration of what your body can do, not a punishment for what you have eaten. I like that. That's a good mantra for exercise. And I think you'll like this last one, Sharon. I saved the best for last. It's unknown who gave us this quote, but it's a good one. A successful marriage is built on trust, laughter, and countless cups of shared morning coffee. Or orange juice, or whatever it happens to be. All right.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Whatever
We've been married 53 years.
All right. Do you guys have a morning routine?
No.
It's kind of hard with him being gone, but you could FaceTime each other.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things, and I have a lot of marriage experience, unfortunately, but I think one of the best things for a relationship really is a hot tub.
Oh.
Because it forces you to set across from each other and kind of visit, because there's no TV, there's no screens, there's nothing like that. And me and Marion love the hot tub, and I think it's great one-on-one time, and especially I think for people that are maybe middle-aged and they're super busy, like Brandon Hansen, who just joined us. Hi, Brandon. He's still working on it. I think it's a great thing, because it gives you that in a busy life, it gives you that downtime where you don't have any distractions and you can reconnect. So I think that's important. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, Brandon Hansen. Can you hear us yet? And we've got lots of guests joining today. It's going to be like this the whole time.
He's still muted.
Doesn't he look kind of sad and forlorn?
He does. He does.
Oh, poor Brandon. All right. Hopefully he'll get his audio figured out and just jump in with us. Sharon, you were kind of concerned with all the guests that you wouldn't make it through all the information you have to share with us this morning. Would you like to start?
Sure. You know, since I've started doing this on Wednesday mornings, I'm just amazed at all the things that are going on in Chihuahua. I have said that for the last few years, but okay. So today we have, of course, pickleball. I don't know what they do in the rain. I'd like to hear from somebody and know what they do in the rain.
You have to be dedicated.
Yeah, I guess so. Wear a raincoat or something. Also this afternoon at the Center for the Arts is a sit and knit class. And last week they had about 6 people at the class on Wednesday, and it's from 2 to 4. And on Mondays they have it from 6 to 8, and they only had about 3 or 4 on Monday. So that hopefully that'll pick up. You just get to come and sit and knit and visit. And, you know, there are just some people that and there are teachers there if you want to increase your skills in knitting.
Okay.
Thursday, tomorrow. The only thing I have going on tomorrow is a volleyball game at Reardon. Jenkins High is playing at Reardon. Those are the regular afternoon times. On Friday, we have a full house.
Okay.
Pickleball, of course. Jenkins High School has a junior varsity football game at home against Liberty. Bradley's Taekwondo is kicking off their haunted house from 6 to 9. And then they'll have 3 more days of that throughout this month.
All right, so that's kind of the Friday the 13th. We get an early preview of the haunted house, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to have any details on that.
Sure.
I have
let
some
people
somewhere.
know what's going on.
Maybe I have them. Maybe I don't. Yeah, I probably have something somewhere buried in my. Yeah, here it is, haunted house. Mm-hmm. it just says that October 13th, 20, 27, 28 from 6 to 9. $10 a person or $5 and an item for the food bank. So if you have a large family, you bring a few things for the food bank, and that's quite a deal, you know?
Get a little discount.
And it's at the Taekwondo place, which is on 114 East Main Avenue in Chewelah. Then also on Friday, after the JV football game against Liberty, there is a high school varsity football game against Liberty, which starts at 7. Also on Friday, and I don't know why this is, but there's no school on Friday. It just is on their school calendar, no school.
Okay.
On Friday also is the farmers market, and that is their very last farmers market, and they are going to have pumpkin bowling at 3:30 in the afternoon, just in time for the kids to get out of school and go over there and try their hand at bowling pumpkins. So then we go to Saturday, which has also got a full plate. At the Aaron Huff Cultural Center Friday evening is the Vital Movement Dance. That's at 6 p.m. Also, there's a fundraiser for the Chewelah Valley Land Trust and the Chewelah Fire Department Saturday. Let's see if I can find that. And it's at Quartzsite Brewery. It says the event is from 3 to close, and there will be fire burgers there from 4 to 6:30. So if you're missing fire burgers from Chautauqua, you can go to this event on Saturday afternoon and support the Chewelah Valley. Yeah, that's what it's called, Chewelah Valley Land Trust. Yeah, and the fire department.
Yeah, Brandon, Sharon? You got something to say?
Yes, I am missing fire burgers from Chautauqua every day.
So you can go on Saturday to the Quartzsite. Also,
is there a limit to how many burgers I get?
No, there's no limit, it says, especially for a Brandon Hansen.
Oh, perfect. Awesome.
Although if you eat amount of hamburgers, they will hate you, Brandon.
Okay.
No, they'll love him because he'll have donated so much money.
No, the community will hate him.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So also Saturday is the Stompers concert, and that's at the Chewelah Center for the Arts, and it's the Big Stomp is the name of it, and it's showcasing the history of clogging. I know they're also going to have tap dancing, and that's one of my favorite dances is tap dancing. I don't do it at all. I took a tap dancing class once from Janet. Well, yeah, I could hardly follow. But that's at 7 p.m. at the Chewelah Center for the Arts. The tickets are $15 each. You can purchase them here in Chewelah at Acres or Valley Drug, or in Colville at the Chamber of Commerce, or you can purchase them that night at the door. And they've sold quite a few tickets, but they'll have lots of seats for everybody who would like to come. Right. Also going on at the same time over at the Civic Center is the Hands Across the Nation dinner and auction. And that starts earlier. So you could actually, there's several things that you could hit all of these.
You could double up on it.
Yeah. And the Hands Across the Nation the doors open at 4:30. Dinners served between 5:30 and 6:30. Tickets are also at Acres Drug or Valley Drug or at the door. $18 for adults, $10 for a child, which is a very reasonable dinner.
It is.
Yeah.
And it works kind of like the chamber auction, I'm pretty sure, and we can verify that because they're going to be joining us here in about 30 minutes. I believe you can just show up and bid on this. There's no live auction. It's just a silent auction this year. But you could come by if you've got other stuff going on and bid on some items too if you couldn't make it for dinner. So that's a possibility. Yeah. And we'll get more details from them in a bit. But
yeah. I'm not going to be able to go, so I sent a donation. They have a post office box, but I don't have it right in front of me. So,
well, that's a good idea. Well, let's remember to ask them that when they come on the air with us.
Yeah.
And then just to back up for a second, not to distract you, but when Friday, it's the last farmers market, I believe, with pumpkin bowling, right?
Right. It
Okay,
is the
okay,
last
okay.
farmer's market.
Pumpkin bowling.
Yes.
They always do that
Yeah.
right toward the end of the market day.
Yeah. So also on Saturday, if you want to be out in the cold and the rain, you can go watch the cross country team at Colfax, and they're in the Northeast 1B, 2B League Championships. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And that afternoon, evening, there's also Jenkins High School. Actually, yeah, there's 2 volleyball games, and they're actually in the morning. One is against the varsity is at Liberty, and the C squad is at Deer Park. So you could go, you probably can't go to both of them because I think they're happening about the same time, and that's quite a ways apart.
Okay.
Then on Monday, I don't have anything for Sunday. On Monday, we have pickleball at the golf course. Brandon, do you know anything about pickleball? You live up there.
Yeah, it looks like they're having a lot of fun in the rain.
Oh, they still play even in the rain?
Yeah, I think I've seen them out a few times there, and a couple of diehards. So, but yeah, they're definitely out there a lot.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah. And Monday is, of course, that sit and knit at the Center for the Arts, 6 to 8. A JV football game, home against Northwest Christian, Jenkins High. And it starts the Northeast Washington Fair at the Northeast Washington Fairgrounds. They're having Stevens County Community Emergency Response Team training. And you do have to register, but it's free, I believe. It's October 16th through 19th. And learn tools to be able to help before, during, and after a disaster. Yeah, courses are free, but you do need to register.
And you got to show up every day, and it's an all-day event. So.
And it's an all-day event. Yes, it does. On the flyer that I have, it does not say the times. It just has you call 509-684-7563, or you can register at em@stevenscountywa.gov.
Okay.
So I think that there's a lot of people especially with the emergencies that we've had around here, that would really like to be part of that helping, So, and next Wednesday, of course, is pickleball and sit and knit. And then I just want to briefly mention that coming up October 21st, is murder mystery dinner at the golf course at Rusty Putter. We'll talk about that again, but you might want to get your tickets. That's a week from Saturday. And just the Halloween and Boo Fest and things like that are coming up. So
all right.
I don't hear it anymore, but I used to hear there's nothing to do in Chewelah, and you just can't hear that anymore because there is so much to do in Chewelah.
Yes. All right. Let's see. I did get one in, and I want to share this. This came in from Melissa Silvio to the radio station, and she's with the Valley Historical Society, and they're having a fundraising campaign called Raise the Roof for the Little White Schoolhouse. Now, I don't know if you've checked this out in Valley. They had to move it a few years back, and they saved it, and they're trying to raise some money for the schoolhouse's roof as soon as possible. They said the sooner they raise the roof, the sooner they can complete restoration of the schoolhouse and open it as a museum and small art gallery for the community. That'll be an awesome thing for Valley. Where do you do this? You can do it online through GoFundMe. The link can be found at facebook.com Little White Schoolhouse, or directly at that's gofund.me, and then a /F55. All right, but probably be easier on Facebook. Just search Little White Schoolhouse, and that's all one long word, and you should end up there. The rest, they're going to restore the Little White Schoolhouse. Let's see, old pictures and info of Valley and surrounding areas are on that Facebook page. It's called the Valley Historical Society. Let's see, they want to thank everybody for the support. Remind them that they are a 501c3 nonprofit, so donations are tax deductible if you want to help out with that. All right, let's see, Harvest Party coming up for the Abundant Life Fellowship. That's the corner of 2nd and Clay, the east entrance, October 31st from 5 to 7. Door prizes, cakewalk, fun games, face painting, chili and hot dogs, and, of course, lots of candy. Now, let's turn to a second to Brandon and let him tease. He's bringing a guest on today, and right around 8:30. Brandon, tell us about you work with TEDD now. Still do some stories with the newspaper, so people are still very friendly with you. You are doing a first Wednesday, is it, at the library? I want to give you
yes, every first Wednesday of the month, I do TED in the library, where I basically set up shop down in the Chuila library. So if people need some small business planning or learn more about the services that TED provides, they can stop by the library. They don't have to drive up all the way to Colville there. So every first Wednesday, I'm down there sitting at the main table by the door.
Now, for people that might get our signal that are in outlying areas, do you do that at other area libraries on different days too?
Yes, we try and spread it out to also Republic, and then over in Ponderay County to provide information on our loan fund as well.
Okay. Do you do those at regular intervals like you do here in Chuila?
It kind of depends on just how we can set up the travel plans and what are the free dates for Republic, and then Ponderay County as well.
All right. So give us a little tease. You wanted to bring a gentleman on the air today. Tell us about what that is all about and who he is.
All right. So our special guest is John Raymond. He will be speaking at TED's Tech Open House, which is next Tuesday from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Here in the Colville offices of TED. And really what it's doing is it's supposed to be kind of a open workshop for people, entrepreneurs, focused on tech, but there'll also be information provided to startup businesses of all sorts there. So we're trying to give them the information to help them succeed in whatever their endeavor is and what they want to do. This is in partnership with WSU and the organization SP3NW. So again, that's next Tuesday, October 17th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. And John is he is in Chuila. I believe he's doing a coffee roasters business, but he has a lot more experience than just coffee. He spent 11 years building Power IT, which is an ed tech company, and that kind of worked over 25 states. So he is heavily kind of has a big background in tech and building a tech company there. So he'll be our guest speaker and provide a lot of just information on if you want to do a tech startup. This is the way to get started.
So TED has been doing a lot of entrepreneurial recently in different what do you call them, like seminars?
Yes. So again, that's part of our mission is small business support and startup support there. Shelley Stevens has been doing a lot of work in the tourism sector and providing information for people that want to start like a guides and outfitters business with, the tourism coming up here. And in general, really working on rebranding the tourism in Northeast Washington and making it kind of cohesive in terms of a brand and a marketing campaign. So she has been working really around the clock doing that.
So we had Shelley on the air months ago talking about this Guides and Outfitters program, and I still see emails coming through about it. Did you get a good response? Was there a lot of curiosity in that for startups?
Well, yeah. So Shelley basically outshines me because she holds an event and about, 20 to 30 people show up. I hold an event and I get one person to show up. No, just so, but it does have a lot of support and a lot of people interested. And also, I'm sure you're going to see this here pretty soon. The kind of the tourism keystones in Chuila are also kind of branching off that effort to do their own marketing effort for tourism in Chuila.
Excellent. Well, John Raymond, right? We'll be looking forward to having him.
Yes, John Raymond will be here at 8:30.
All right. And we're going to hand things, when he comes in, because you know about this and you're going to know the questions asked, we're going to toss everything to you and let you interview him. All right?
Oh, perfect. Right. Hey, way to stress me out, Scott.
All right. Just remember those old journalism skills. You'll be fine.
I'll fine. Dust those out.
All right. Any other community events that we might have missed?
Yeah, I have coming up next Thursday, and I forgot this one, and let's see if I can find it again. It is an open house Thursday, October 19th from 6 to 7:30 at the Civic Center. The trails. The mayor had a task force for parks, recreation, and trails, and they're having an open house to show what they have done for the last 6 or 8 months. I've been on that task force, and it's been very interesting working with Larry Fetter. He's a very knowledgeable person, and he's just he just thinks outside of the box. It's just been a real fun thing. They will be presenting what their ideas and what they've come up with. They did a survey back in the spring and finished it in June. Most people, the top thing they wanted was a recreation indoors aquatic center. And so we've got some ideas on how to do that.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah. They just released a statement from the Little League field that they had sold that Little League field, the Chewelah Recreation, and they sold the bowling alley to the Copper Bowl, and they have just pledged $200,000 to start a recreation field other than there that will have 2 Little League fields on it, and it will have place for soccer too. And they're looking at 3 different properties. They're not saying where they're looking because that would, but anyway, that's kind of an exciting thing.
So who pledged the $200,000?
The Chewelah Recreation and the Chewelah Recreation, what do they call them? The people that used to own the bowling alley, that had the Little League.
It was kind of through the city though, wasn't it? The bowling alley for years and years? No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No. It was a nonprofit.
Okay, that's what it was. All right. Well, awesome. So they sold it, and they're kind of pledging maybe those funds to go towards some new facilities. Yeah. Excellent.
Which would be really good because they can have games going at the same time, right at the same place. Instead of running back and forth from the Barber Complex to down to the Little League field. So that should be interesting. The city's also got a grant for $1.5 million to remodel and redo the Civic Center. And so that'll be talked about at that meeting. They'll have different stations that you can go around and talk to different people, and they'll have all kinds of literature and maps and stuff like that. And another thing that reminds me of is that the Chuck Ritchie and the the Chewelah Recreation, they were the lead on applying for a grant for sound at the center in the park, and they received the grant for $12,000 to put speakers and sound at the pavilion in the park. So,
yeah, he was telling me about that, and it was a bunch of groups, including the radio station and the Center for the Arts, and I don't know the other ones.
The city, and I know that the chamber, and I know that Chewelah,
and the Creative District all kind of went together on that application for that grant, and they jumped on it. So we're going to have a sound system in the amphitheater in the park that multiple groups will be able to use, and training will be provided when it's rented and that type of stuff. So that's another awesome new development for Chewelah.
Yeah, and it shows how different organizations can work together.
Yeah,
and the people in Chewelah want to work together. And often you have the same person in their hands are in lots of different pies.
Sharon Ludwig.
Yeah.
All right. Is that everything you had for us this morning?
Yeah. I just somehow missed that one.
All right. Coming up on 8 o'clock, we've got a few minutes till we go to news and bring in our guests. And I thought a fun thing to do would be to pit Brandon Hansen against Sharon Ludwig and a few trivia questions.
Ooh. When I listen to these, I'm not good.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Sharon and Brandon.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
All right. Fun and games. We'll start off with a couple trivia questions. According to anthropologists, there's no human society on Earth whose children do not play what game? According to anthropologists, there is no human society on Earth whose children do not play what game? So kind of imagine what game you could play without toys.
Kickball?
Without toys.
Without toys.
Hide and seek.
Brandon Hansen steals it with hide and seek. Good job.
Very good.
Brandon still plays that all over town.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he's actually the hide and seek champion.
Hail to the king.
Production of devices in this home video format ended in July 2009. So this would be something you could rent them at the time, but it no longer exists. And I'll give you a hint. It's not a videotape.
Well, that's a tough one.
I don't even, my mind is not floating anywhere.
So I actually used to work years ago when I was in high school in Chihuahua. I worked at Foose Furniture. Remember we had Foose Hardware and the lumber yard and Foose Furniture. I worked at Foose Furniture, and that was one of my jobs, was renting these movies on this type of media. What type of media was it?
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc. Brandon goes for 2.
Told you I wasn't too good at this.
It's all right.
Well, I'm just imagining Scott renting laser discs, and it's kind of hilarious.
I can barely see over the counter.
I
All right. At a typical Ironman triathlon, 13,000 of these are used, and I don't know why.
Glasses of water?
You're close, and I do know why after I thought about it for a minute. It's a type of fruit.
Oranges.
No. Runners would need this. So it's the Ironman triathlon. People that are working out really hard would need this as a quick supplement. It's a fruit. 13,000 of them are brought in for the triathlon.
Bananas.
Bananas, again, Brandon Hansen making himself look all smart.
I just see oranges at all the wrestling matches. You know, they feed those wrestlers oranges.
All right. Probably the same kind of thing. Give them a little boost, right? All right. I'm going to describe a celebrity with food in their name, and you have to tell me the celebrity. A co-star with Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
John Candy.
You got it. She starred in Room and Captain Marvel.
I haven't seen any movie past 2010.
All right. Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. Okay.
Right. This one's for Sharon, an acclaimed actress and dancer best known for her collaborations with Fred Astaire.
Oh, yeah, Ginger Rogers.
There you go. There you go. You're on the board, Sharon. Let's see. He offered Neo red and blue pills in The Matrix.
Lauren Fishburne.
Yes. I don't think that really counted because it's Fishburne, but apparently he has fish in his name.
All right. Hey, it works. Right. It counts.
A rapper and a Law & Order SVU star.
Ice Cube.
No.
Ice-T?
Ice-T.
Excuse me.
I knew it.
I'm sorry.
All right. This rocker, I could tell Sharon hasn't been watching these movies. This rocker had a big role in the movie Fight Club.
Oh, gosh. Who was that? Yeah.
It's kind of a meal that when people say we're having this for dinner, people go, ooh.
Oh, meatloaf. Yeah.
Raise your hand if you've had a good meatloaf. There you go.
I have.
Yeah. Actually, my girlfriend's meatloaf, best on the planet. I actually get excited. And I used to hate that. Oh, we're having meatloaf? Yuck. Run away. All right. Let's see. In the 70s and 80s, he had a singing partner named Daryl Hall.
Is it Oaks?
You're close. Oats. Oats.
Oats.
Remember, they have to be a food. And I want you guys to do this one together. The rapper who sang Ice Ice Baby.
I don't know.
Save us, Brandon.
Is this one Ice Cube? Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice. Not very good. All right. There you go. Trivia with Sharon and Brandon. I'm sorry. He just took advantage of you, Sharon.
Oh, yeah. That was terrible.
You should be ashamed of yourself, Brandon. In fact, Brandon, Gino's watching, okay? All right, quick break. Thank the sponsors, and then we're back with our friends from the Abundant Life Church, and they're going to talk about Hands Across Nations and their big auction coming up on Saturday. But you need to stay right here. It's KCHW 102.7.
Time is exactly 8 o'clock.
You're listening to Northern Lights Public Radio on 102.7 KCHW, Chewelah, Springdale, Wellpinnet.
It's 8:01.
Your KCHW morning show is made possible by donations from Chewelah Flooring.
Chewelah Flooring at 214 East Clay in the 3rd Street Mall offers a wide variety of products, including carpet, ceramic and porcelain tile, vinyl and laminate planks, and vinyl sheet flooring. Chewelah Flooring carries products for both commercial businesses and residential homes, including brands like National Flooring, Dell Tile, Mannington, and Mohawk. They also offer blind repair. For more information, you can visit online at ChewelahFlooring.com, call 509-935-8021, or via email at ChewelahFlooring@gmail.com.
Chewelah Motel and RV Park. Chewelah Motel and RV Park, located at 301 South Park Street in Chewelah, offers 14 single or double rooms, each with a refrigerator and microwave, in-room coffee station, Wi-Fi, cable, and 58-inch screen television. 2 Airbnb options are available, both with full kitchens, coffee, and a 65-inch smart TV. They also feature 26 full hookup RV spots with 30-amp service. For reservations, they can be reached at 509-935-4763 or ChewelahMotelandRVPark.com. Chewelah Motel and RV Park, 301 South Park Street in Chewelah.
Your KCHW morning show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center.
Hi, Brandon.
God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway 395 and Main Street at the light. For more information, you can visit the Auto Service Center at 806 East Main in Chewelah. Find them online at godfearingbrothers.com or by phone at 509-935-6414. KCHW-FM thanks God-Fearing Brothers for supporting public radio in Stevens County.
This is KCHW, Chewelah, 102.7 FM.
Welcome to 2023 Talks, where we're following our democracy in historic times.
You know, there are moments in this life, and I mean this literally, when the pure, unadulterated evil is unleashed on this world. The people of Israel lived through one such moment this weekend.
At the White House, President Joe Biden reaffirms the U.S. commitment to Israel. War with the Palestinian group Hamas has so far killed around 2,000 people, including at least 14 Americans. A first shipment of U.S. munitions arrived in Israel late yesterday. The war has already displaced 200,000 people in Gaza, according to the UN. Some fled in fear or when their homes were destroyed by airstrikes, and civilian life there could become desperate with Israel blockading food, water, fuel, and electricity. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continues his pattern of harsh rhetoric and calls for retribution.
Though Israel didn't start this war, Israel will finish it. Once the Jewish people were stateless, once the Jewish people were defenseless, no longer. Hamas will understand that by attacking us, they've made a mistake of historic proportions.
Meanwhile, House members will start the formal process of deciding who'll be the next speaker today, but no one candidate has an obvious lead, and Bob Cusack with The Hill says infighting could extend the process over many days.
So again, you had just a handful of Republicans, if they're holding out on whomever, whether it's Scalise or whether it's Jordan or McCarthy or somebody else. That's a distinct possibility.
In order to avoid another public struggle, the GOP caucus will start with votes behind closed doors. A candidate must have 211 votes to advance to the floor and have a majority of those voting to take the gavel. Molly Reynolds with the Brookings Institute says House Republicans would like to demonstrate the same level of unity Democrats have had backing Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
We've reached a point where the divisions are serious enough in the House Republican Conference that we're seeing this push from some members to try and really bind their colleagues to whoever gets picked behind closed doors when that vote actually comes on the floor.
New York Congressman George Santos is facing new charges of stealing identities and credit card details of his campaign donors. The new charges were made in a 23-count superseding indictment with 10 additional charges being filed against him. Santos was originally indicted on 13 charges of financial crimes in May. Wisconsin is embroiled in a sharply partisan redistricting fight over what experts say are some of the most gerrymandered maps in the country. Republicans in the legislature are pushing a plan to have an independent panel draw the new districts, arguing that would be fair. But Yuseli Flores of the Wisconsin Fair Maps Coalition says a loophole in the plan would let the legislature break all ties, which she says could mean Republicans would still control the process.
And it just seems like a huge power grab that could permanently change the process for how we draw our state maps. And it just feels like it's going to be detrimental to our communities.
I'm Edwin J. Vieira for Pacifica Network and Public News Service. Find our trust indicators at publicnewsservice.org.
Back. It's KCHW 102.7 Northern Lights Public Radio. We've got a Zoom full this morning. You can hear the ladies getting giddy in the background. Welcoming to the show, Deborah Barbie, Carolyn Jones, and Brad Schaefer. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, you guys, you have a big night coming up. How's planning going on?
Well, I think it's going just spiffy. We are just spiffy. Everything's coming together and the last minute details are being taken care of. And I think we're going to go on as scheduled and it's just going to be a fabulous event.
All right. So coming up on Saturday night, doors open at 4:30. It's Hands Across Nation. This is an annual auction to go to support your guys' work in Uganda. With us, too, is the Master of Ceremonies, Brad Schaefer, and Carolyn. Brad, via email, was really bragging you up and talking about what a great job you did last year. So we'll give you a round of applause for that.
Thank you, Carolyn, for those kind words. It's so wonderful to be a part of the organization, no matter how you attach to it, and the support in the Chewelah community is outstanding. So it's it makes it very easy for a person like me to step in and feel like I'm in a room full of friends who are all kind of supporting and rowing in the same direction. So it's always a great pleasure, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to be able to do that.
All right. So, Caroline, let's turn to you. I believe you started this in 2001. For people that might be new to the area, do not know what we're talking about, give us a rundown of what Hands Across Nations is all about and the work you've been doing.
Well, actually, I didn't start it.
Okay.
We had a team of people from Chewelah and a few from Oregon that were going on a mission trip to Mexico. And we had a request, a dire request from some people from Oregon who were in Uganda during a war and asked if we could come and do a medical mission out in the bush to villages that hadn't had any medical care for decades. And we changed our mind and went there instead. It was Dr. Johnstone and her family and a number of others.
Nice.
Oh, it very first started. And then I kept going back. Others didn't go, but I kept going. And here I am.
All right. And you've done a variety of things, from teaching them how to read, bringing the Bible to them, drill. I remember the stories about drilling wells, and some of it that you guys went through was during wartime there, right?
You're right. You're right. The first thing we did was protect springs. We had a friend called Felix Omodi there who took us to places where people were dipping their buckets in streams that cows were running in, and they were pretty darn dirty. So we had a joint effort with Rotary Club from Colville, and we ended up doing more than 45 spring protections. After that, Keith said that it might be good for places that didn't have streams to do some well drilling, and he's been working on that. We drilled a number of them, but that is not something that the people there had continued without a lot of effort. So,
all right. And you've even done things. You've brought printing so you could share and help your reading. And then you started some work. I remember over the years we've done so many interviews. You started working in the prisons, which you described the system as being very corrupt. Do you still work in the prisons today?
Actually, that is our main effort, is in the prisons. During COVID, we had to shut down, but prior to COVID, we had 12 prisons that had literacy programs started by Hands Across Nations people. And they did it starting in their own tribal language. We learned how to do that. I'm a physical therapist. My husband has been many different things, logging and bowl making. So we had to learn all of that ourselves and then train the people there to do it. And now they are doing it themselves. Correct. But during COVID, we lost a lot of connection with those people, and we're pulling that back together. Yeah, that's our main push. We've got 150 people that just graduated a couple months ago when we were in Uganda through the English and the Lango language classes. So yeah, we're very definitely still going.
Now, Debbie, you've been to Uganda yourself. What was that experience like?
Well, I went there in 2015. I was there for 6 months and became quite accustomed to being there. To me, it was very hard, and it was very rewarding at the same time. I made some of the best friends I probably ever will have, and really personally learned more about myself and more about what's really important in life than I think I ever would have learned before. The question came to us once, what is good about Uganda? What do you like about being here? And that's a really hard question, because until you've actually lived in a third world country and know what it's like at the same time to live in the United States, it's hard to see the good in what goes on there. And but what I decided the best thing that happened was how those people live the way they do, they exist the way they do, they live on the edge of life all the time, and I'm telling you, they have the most beautiful smiles and the best attitudes toward life than I've ever seen anywhere else, and that just keeps me going here to help support them.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Good job. All right, Brad, you want to do the rundown on the evening that's coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, we always have a great meal. Like I say, it's a real village here in Chihuahua that lifts this up. So we have food that gets served, and that's we have sort of a social gathering, then food that gets served. There's a silent auction, so there's items that surround the room that people can browse and make bids on throughout dinner and desserts. There's a short but important program during and after the meal, and there's going to be, and Carolyn and Deb can talk about some of the highlights as far as some of the auction items, but there'll be the return of the quilt raffle that we had last year. We're going to have more quilts. And a lot of exciting items that I've seen. I've been able to personally donate a couple of things from Waits Lake Rustic, some stools and things you've seen over the last couple of years. I want to touch briefly on the work of Hands Across Nations, because you hear the passion that Deb had as far as the people of Uganda, and then Carolyn with some of the work that they do there. The literacy program that's the focus now, I think is so important, and that's why I think support of this organization is so important. It really provides the foundational work for a person in life to really lift themselves up. The way I put it, I use that cliche where you teach a person to fish instead of just handing them a fish. And by teaching them language skills, being able to read and write, not only in their native tongue, but also in English, which because of the various, my understanding, because of the various languages in a diverse country like Uganda, English is pretty common as the language they use to communicate across those regions. And so it's vitally important that these folks know English so that they can operate and they can start a journey. They can rebuild as rebuilders, not only their own lives, but then when Hands Across Nations may no longer exist in that country, that they then can help themselves lift their fellow countrymen out of the extreme poverty, because Uganda has been for quite a while one of the poorest countries in the world, as they have come out of this civil war that raged there for at least a decade.
And right, going along with that, I love how the stories Carolyn has shared with me of how, they've taught someone to read, and then that person is now a teacher and teaching other people to read. And it has a daisy chain effect that can affect, I think, generations. Would you agree?
I have to tell you, they are doing the best job of anybody I've ever seen, teaching and training other teachers. They've become themselves the trainers, better than even the people that we trained in the first place. They are really doing it. And what we see is that God is moving people from prison to prison. Several things have happened that I'm going to tell stories at the benefit that God has done without any knowledge on our part, brought in new people that are the leaders that we didn't know at all before. All of them are on board with our program there, all of them, which is remarkable, because we at first had a terrible time getting into the prison, and through several miracles that you just can hardly believe, like sitting in an airplane and the guy next to my husband had a mother-in-law that worked in the prison where we wanted to go, and she got us in there. So a lot of other things like that are just very, very amazing. So now when we see God moving somebody, one of our top two guys got moved out of the prison just last week. And we're like, oh no, here we go. We've lost our top two people. Well, one went to a prison that we want to get into, and another one went to another place down near Kampala, the capital. And lo and behold, he's in a prison where the people that trained me have a primer that is already made in their language. So we can get him started in another tribal language, which we didn't plan that at all.
In fact, you kind of avoided doing that.
Didn't want to.
Yeah, they had been approached before to start another program in another language, and they said, no, we're just doing the language. And so now God has facilitated that. Above their ideas, above them. So that's incredible.
Well, we did train two people in that language before, and they didn't pan out.
Yeah.
So we just kind of left it.
Yeah.
But now,
So So you'll hear these types of stories on Saturday night. It's always a good time to hang out with like-minded people. We always seem to fill the gym. I say we always. I mean, last year was my first year there, but the gym was full, and then I anticipate the way tickets have sold that it'll be filled again, and there'll be a lot of these personal stories, kind of working from the microcosm of the real hands-on work that Hands Across Nations does to the kind of broader goals within that country to try to improve the lives of the people there, and working through God to do so. And it's like I say, it's exciting to be a part of that organization and to be a part on such an important night, because it really operates on a shoestring budget, and by the time the benefit rolls around, the coffers are pretty empty. So we really appreciate the community coming out and supporting the great work that gets done there, and it's going to be a good time. I try to be as humorous as possible, even though it's built around some of this very important and very serious kind of work. But you can't lose your sense of humor in situations like this, and hopefully we'll have a few smiles on our face too as we eat great food and talk with each other.
Yeah, there's a part of tragedy in it, but that's the beautiful part of what you guys are doing. One of the stories Carolyn shared with me that stuck with me was about the prison system and how a lot of the people in it don't belong there because of their judicial system. If you make the wrong person mad, or anybody can say anything and you can just get tossed in jail. And I don't think as Americans we can grasp what those people go through. So I took one liberty on the radio, and I think it was correct, but I'm going to make sure right now, is your doors open at 4:30, and there's a lot of stuff going on in town, and I was talking about how if you couldn't make the dinner, you could still come through and bid on the silent auction items. Is that true?
I think we're going to do that. I think that's a good idea. There are people that are going to other functions, and we would like them to give it a chance and also see the displays that we'll have there. They'll get somewhat of an inkling of what we're doing. Yeah.
And then let's talk about what Sharon did. So Sharon, of course, big part to the Center for the Arts, and they have an event that night that she needs to be at. So she said she sent in a donation. All right.
Yeah, and that was to a post office box in Spokane. Do you have that address that we can tell people?
Yes, it's P.O. Box 9048, Spokane, Washington. And I'm not sure I'll get the zip code here. And Jean Homer, who used to be the junior high school principal in Chewelah, is our person that collects that money and gets it into the bank. So we still have people that don't even live in Chewelah anymore that are helping us. And I'd like to make one point here about the Chewelah Independent newspaper.
Okay.
I see Brandon here, and Brandon used to write articles, and he did all sorts of stuff for us, and they're still doing it. I've put in a number of articles, and they allow that with pictures and all that. They're so supportive. And I really appreciate our hometown newspaper. It's an incredible asset to our community.
I don't even think people would have known we had a radio station if it wasn't for the Independent. I mean, they lifted us up too. So, yeah.
Well, yeah. I was going to say how valuable and wonderful it is to have a hometown radio station also, and the farmers market, and I know a lot of organizations are supporters of KCHW, and I encourage everyone to let's keep this show on the road, because it's wonderful to have, and we so appreciate Scott and Chuck and all the great work that you guys do.
And Chuck has been amazing as I slowly bow out of things. Chuck has just grabbed a hold of this. And he said, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, he said to me, I've spent my whole life not really knowing what I was supposed to do, and then you just dropped it in my lap, and I thought, oh, how cool is that for both of us? So, all right.
May I give you the zip code for that address?
Give it all again in case somebody wants to mail in a donation to Hands Across Nations.
Okay, it's Hands Across Nations, P.O. Box 9048, Spokane, Washington, 99209.
All right. So let's cover the food real quick. You've got barbecued beef, chicken, sandwich rolls from Bread Box, sandwich toppings such as cheese, lettuce, mayo, mustard, pickles, coleslaw, vegetarian baked beans, chips. Is this kind of a buffet style dinner?
It is. You get to make your own sandwich, so you can pile it on. I'm sure she'll have plenty of food.
Okay. I think Brad wanted you to talk about some of the items that you're going to have during the auction.
Are you wanting me to do that?
Sure, whoever.
I thought Brad was going to do that, but he doesn't even know all the items we have.
I don't.
We have two people plus a whole team behind them, Cindy Sergio and Helen Salapka, and Linda Norris as well, and her team, who have made, I can't remember, 20 some baskets that have great themes in them.
And the Chewelah Farmers Market.
Yes, they've got a really big to-do one. So, and then we have a number of single items that are going to be there. Spokane Chiefs tickets, Spokane Indians tickets, and we're hopefully getting 49 degrees north.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of those kinds of things and homemade things. So we're really got a lot. And I want to tell you, I counted last night over 45 people who have been part of getting this thing on the road. And we have that every year. It is simply incredible. It's sort of like the Chewelah that Sharon's a part of, the PACA people. There's a whole crew of people that are always there and volunteering. Quite an amazing town. When I first came here, I flew from Washington, D.C. to want to see if I might want to live in Chewelah, which people don't understand. But I watched a movie called The Chewelah, the Can-Do Community. It was an amazing film. I wish we still showed it, because that is who we are here in Chewelah. We can do it. And we do it for people that have been sick, people who have had their buildings burnt down. We're all behind each other, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place to live.
It's very, very unique when you look across even the entire United States. So, yeah, definitely. I'm still glad I'm attached to it, even from far away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brad, any closing words here? We've got another guest coming in at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, I wanted to plug the farmers market. This coming Friday is our very last market of the season, Lucky Friday the 13th, and it's of course the annual pumpkin bowling contest. That'll start up at 3:30. I understand there's no school on Friday for some reason, and so I anticipate we'll have a lot of people signing up to roll the pumpkins and knock down some pins for some great farmers market prizes.
So, Brad, how big are the pumpkins?
They're usually smaller than bowling ball size. Yeah, because you have small hands. There's different age categories, including an adult category. And you can bring your own, I always get confused if a pumpkin's a gourd or a squash, but you can bring I think it's a squash. And I think you can bring your own pumpkin. The rounder, the better, frankly, because you want them to roll pretty well. So pick the round ones, do it like a bowling ball. Don't get it bouncing or you might bust open your squash, but yeah.
And don't be like me and forget to take the stem off.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Debbie, any closing words before we let you go?
A couple bits and pieces. We're also having at the benefit about 15 different people that have made some luscious desserts, and those are all going to be included in the dinner. We kind of missed that part. So there's some of them are just absolutely fabulous. And there's a possibility that we will be auctioning off one from, I believe it's Dr. Johnstone, who is notoriously incredibly talented when it comes to putting together sweets that just melt in your mouth. But anyway, we neglected the desserts, and there was something else, but I can't remember what it was. It must not have been very important, but I hope to see you all there. You don't have to get all dressed up. Come as you are, and just come to find out what God's doing in Uganda and meet some new friends and have some fun.
All right. And Carolyn.
Yes.
Closing words.
I just hope that people will come and see what this area has done for Uganda and be just blown away by the kindness, I can hardly describe it. What has happened in the last, I've been going for 23 years, almost 23, 22 years. And it's been a remarkable change in that community because of the people from this area. Yeah. I'm just grateful, and I'm grateful I'm still alive and able to do it. We're not going as long as we used to, but we're still going to be going back.
All right. All right. Well, thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a great Saturday night. Doors open at 4:30 at the Civic Center, correct?
Correct.
All right. Dinner at 5:30. Tickets available at Acres, Valley Drug, and at the door, I believe, too, right?
Right.
All right.
Right. And there are some people that have the tickets, like Debbie and I have tickets. So,
all right. So if we see you on the streets, yell and get some tickets.
If I see you on the street, I will give you a ticket, Scott.
Okay.
We'll pay for it. Yeah.
All right. Representing Hands Across Nations, Debbie Barbie, Carolyn Jones, and Brad Schaefer. Thank you all for being here. Big round of applause.
Bye, Brandon.
All right. Mr. Hansen, will you unmute your mic?
Yes.
There you go.
I'm unmuted now.
Have you gotten any? I clicked to let John in the room, our next guest, and he kind of disappeared. Do you have any messages from him?
I'm right here.
You should be on.
Oh, yeah. All right. I can't see you, John. I'm glad you're there.
Absolutely. Great to be here.
All right. This is John Raymond joining us, representing TEDD. And Brandon, I'm going to just kind of hand things over to you. And John, if you're comfortable and you have a video feed, send it through to us as well.
Absolutely. Just got to get that hooked up while we're talking. Brandon, Go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. And John's on the show because TEDD is hosting a TED Tech open house next Tuesday from 5 to 7:30 p.m. And it's kind of calling entrepreneurs in the area to come because we're going to have basically a workshop for people to kind of learn how to take that step and accelerate their progress in starting a small business, maybe starting a small tech tech startup there in the area. So John is going to be the guest presenter, at the event. We're going to have an open house so people will be able to come by and see all of what, TEDD is offering. But the marquee piece of the evening is John, who will be speaking there. John, could you talk a little bit about yourself and just some of your background and currently what you're doing there?
Absolutely. Well, I remember when the executive director of TEDD said that he used the term keynote, and you just use the term marquee. I just want to make sure people realize I'm just a regular guy who's done some interesting things and is looking to be part of a conversation about entrepreneurship here in the Tri-Counties area. But again, Scott, thank you for having me. Brandon, thank you for this opportunity. So my background, I'm a little bit of a unconventional entrepreneur. I like to start up projects that sort of catch my attention and stimulate my curiosity. And I've always been that way. But at some point, I guess I decided it's good to also get paid while you're doing all that work. So, but I started my career actually as a teacher back in the Northeast, and my family background is sort of journalism and education. And so I went in that direction, was a high school teacher for several years. But during that time, and this is a long time ago in the late 90s, had a lot of exposure to technology in the classroom, technology that was new, starting with things like laser discs and whatnot. But eventually, in the late 90s, early 2000s, we're starting to see interesting. We're starting to see the internet. We're starting to see schools get wired. We're starting to see schools where every kid has a laptop, which was a big deal back then. I've landed a position at a school where every kid had a laptop, and it was like 1999, 2000, 2001. We're one of the first schools in the country. And as a teacher who, wants to try out new stuff and innovate, it was like a kid in a candy store. And my imagination was just running wild. What can we do? And I was teaching history. So, if kids have access to the internet, and me as a history teacher who really loved to use primary sources and do original research, you're able to get the kids in a position of doing this original research themselves online, and they're logging in to libraries that are international. They're logging into the National Archives or the Library of Congress here in the United States, and they're accessing, if we're doing the Cuban Missile Crisis, we're accessing basically scans of PDFs of communiques from Khrushchev and Kennedy and their subordinates and whatnot. And it's really exciting. I called it doing history rather than just learning about history. So you can see I hear my voice. I get a little bit excited and charged about this stuff. Pivot back to technology and entrepreneurship. After 6 years in the classroom, I realized there's possibly sort of a next phase to where this is leading me. And I just went out on my own and decided I was going to start consulting with schools and helping them to envision how technology can be used as a learning platform, as a teaching platform, and how to be agile with it, how to be innovative with it, all for the benefit of learning. Quickly, after a few years of just sort of general consulting, I was asked by a principal, this is in Northwest Connecticut of all places, in the hills there, hey, can you help our teachers get online and develop websites? And this is a very new concept back in 2002. And I said, yeah, I can. And he said, well, can you build something for them to actually use and update their websites? I said, yeah, I think I can do that. Now, I was way overconfident, and I was not a programmer, but with some grit and some spit and Scotch tape and watching a few MacGyver episodes, I put together a tool, a product, I'll call it, that enabled this. And I called it ClassWebs, and they loved it. And as soon as ClassWebs was adopted by this school, and I did some trainings and learned a little bit, I realized there's something here. And all of a sudden, within a month, 3-4 other schools in that region were asking, hey, can you do this for us? And I said yes. And all of a sudden, I realized I had a company. So I'll pause there. But that company became Power IT. And Power IT was sort of my best effort and most mature version of true tech entrepreneurship, a model called SaaS, software as a service. And but I'll pause there because you might have a follow-up question.
Yes, could you talk a little bit just about the importance of maybe tech in today's, I want to say, economy, especially in small communities, and just how important that's becoming as opposed to some of the more traditional industries and businesses there?
Absolutely. Well, the beauty of tech, what we call tech, and what we're really talking about is digital technologies that are piped over these massive networks that we've built that have become so ubiquitous and standard, and kids growing up today don't realize that this didn't exist 15, 20, 30 years ago. It's just the opportunities to connect with customers and other sort of assets outside of your region, outside of your if you have an ice cream shop on the street corner, there's certain days are going to be great, and then there's a lot of times that are going to not be great. And we're heading into the part of the year where it's really bad for an ice cream shop unless you do several other things. So with the internet and with digital tech, you don't have that problem. The world is at your fingertips, and so you can build a business. You can absolutely be out on the west side in Seattle, You can be in LA, but you don't have to. You don't have to be in a big city. You can be wherever you want, and build a tech business per se from there. In terms of how it's important, because of that sort of that location flexibility, it allows. There's that, and then there's also the fact that tech is, and again, really talking about networked digital tech, software tech. There's a phrase, software is eating the world, and it was a very popular phrase, I think 5 or 10 years ago. All it means is that everything that we do in terms of, productive, life, and also leisure life, is being eaten by software. Look at anything that you do in your life, software touches that activity. Certainly what we're doing today using Zoom and streaming video, or video calls, we're on a software platform. We couldn't have been doing this 20 years ago. So there's opportunities in every environment, every regional economy, every local economy, for software to benefit that economy, both in terms of efficiency, in terms of access, but also in terms of the economic generation, the economic engine. If you want to locate your business there, you can likely do that as long as you have a good network and you understand, you're not going to be physically face to face with people all the time. So, ag tech. If somebody has, I think the executive director of TEDD was talking about somebody who's developing this probe for soil testing, and it's here in the Tri-Counties, and I don't remember all the details, but that's a wonderful example. There's a lot of ag out here, maybe smaller scale. It's not massive, sort of Great Plains ag, but there's all kinds of needs for that, and that's unique to a need for this area. So. That's enabled by digital tech and software platforms, and also hardware capabilities. But there's millions of examples, or certainly hundreds of examples, of dozens, if not that, of what's possible and what's needed. It really just takes creativity, an innovative mindset, and some platforms like TED and like SP3NW, which is the accelerator based at Washington State University's Entrepreneurship Center in Spokane.
I had an interview with a gentleman from Front Porch Farms, which I guess you might call a micro farm here. You're smiling. And I was totally impressed because he was a younger man. And you typically picture farmers as older people and that type of stuff. I don't want to sound rude or anything, but I was blown away because he had brought tech into farming and created, just through the internet, a group that was sharing innovations in farming. And I thought, this is, we have a lot of problems with the internet, all the stories about TikTok, but there's this part of it that isn't bad, that is good, and brings society together in different ways, and helps us improve. So I love that.
Yeah, I need to meet this gentleman. I bought their products. I was at the Front Porch booth at the Chewelah Farmers Market, the wonderful Chewelah Farmers Market, every Friday. I think they just closed down for the season.
One more this Friday.
Oh, great, great. Yes, make sure you show up, folks. Amazing vendors there, including Front Porch. And I was out there to buy cucumbers, and they had 4 or 5 different types of cucumbers. I didn't know what to do with myself. I just need one and chop it on my salad. But anyway, I'm a fan of Front Porch, and it's a great story, Scott. The need for community, and you're right. The internet is just a tool, right? And tools can be used for good, or they can be used for bad. You can use a screwdriver to do good things and certainly bad things. So you can use the internet and as a network platform to connect with all kinds of interesting people who have the same spirit and the same mindset as we do. They want to learn, they want to share, they want to help each other, and they want to connect and be useful. In other words, community. And it does allow for that. You need to curate it, you need to design it, but it's absolutely possible. And it's a great example of why and how this technology is useful.
What kind of opportunities do you see in our area for this kind of advancement?
So I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of crystal ball kind of guru. I'm very much not that. What I am is a believer in human innovation. I'm a believer in people having a crazy idea at 3 a.m. and they just happen to have a pen and paper by their desk, or by their bedside, and they jot it down. And then they wake up later and they look at it and they say, what was I thinking? But it sticks in their brain. And then they go and talk to somebody about it and they try it out. I'm a believer in that, and in the sort of possibilities. So what I think needs to happen, and related to your question, is exactly what's happening with TED, with the programs that TED has, with the program represented by Washington State University's Accelerator, SP3NW. We need to create platforms and engagement and conversations about, like, let's look at other communities. What has happened out there, in ag tech, in sort of small town tech? I don't represent or have any relationship with this organization, but there's an organization called CORI, which is, I think it's a Center on Rural Innovation. And I'm not here to advocate for them, but I've seen they've done really interesting work. And that's exactly their sort of focus, is how do we stimulate digital innovation, sort of with an economic focus in small towns and in rural America. Why can't we do that here in the Tri-Counties? So it's not possible for me I'm just not expert in saying, okay, this sector of the economy and that sector, and it'd be just spinning up ideas in my head. But I am expert in saying, if we have an idea, let's talk about it, and maybe let's prototype it, maybe let's try it out, and get some money from TED's loan program, and try to build it out. And if it fails, fine, but you're going to learn something. And there was an investment in a process that is repeatable, and we need sort of more bodies and more energy put into that, and sharing those stories out. And I think those examples are going to come out of the woodwork in the next several years.
And I want to step in and add that SP3 Northwest, they're looking for 4 basically pre-revenue startup companies that have some tech focus. And this is through this program that they hope from this area to find 4 basically startup techs to receive, I think it's 9 months of support from SP3NW, which is actually WSU's business incubator. So you'd get 9 months of support from this incubator at no cost to you. So that's kind of what this program is about, to find those 4 companies that we can really support and get off the ground. And this includes, access to co-working space, some business coaching, educational resources, networking, and then, show them how to fundraise and bring in more capital to really start their business there. So, and we're seeking those 4 startups with a couple of other things that TED is doing, so we can bring them into the fold there.
So let's talk about, unless you had some more, I don't want to take you off track, John, you're doing so well, but do you guys want to talk about the event and what's going to happen there?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, John.
Sure. So Brandon and I will probably overlap a little bit in terms of talking about SP3NW. Brandon obviously represents TED. I'll let him focus on that piece. But my piece. So there's an open house at TED. It's themed a tech entrepreneurship open house. It's on October 17th. I believe it starts at 5. It goes till 7:30ish. And there's going to be all kinds of organizations represented there that support small business formation, small business development, and startup development, which is kind of a different thing, and we can go into if we want. They'll be on site, and there'll be opportunities for folks to just pop in after work and ask questions and learn. And as Brandon kind of hopefully jokingly said, I'm speaking as the sort of the marquee speaker, and the theme of my talk is very much going to be entrepreneurship broadly written, but with a special focus on tech entrepreneurship, because if folks don't know what are we talking about when we talk about tech entrepreneurship? What are we What do we mean by scalable technology? What do we mean by digital technology? When we say technology, do we mean I mean, you could say a hammer is technology. So kind of defining that and helping people understand sort of the scope and parameters, and also the difference. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the difference between small business and startups, because there is, as I mentioned, a sort of a definite difference in the ambition, in the scale, and as Brandon spoke about, sort of access to capital. Startups are a very particular kind of business where you have a very definite intention to go big. And, when I say go big, all those big companies that, are now, public companies investable on Wall Street, that's what we're talking about with startups. That's the ambition, is to really, really go big, and then fundamentally or eventually go public. And then, the founders and the early investors cash out big. That's part of the definition of a startup. People that are interested in this event on next Tuesday, the 17th, do not have to want to go big. That's not the point of the event. But as Brandon said, we do want to make sure if you are of that type, if you are of that level of ambition, you have an idea that you think could go big nationally or globally, we absolutely want to see you there. And hopefully me sharing some of my experience with Power IT will be somewhat of a draw. I did not choose to go big. I had calls from investors from, at Power IT, but I really didn't understand the landscape. I didn't understand the language and some of the concepts. It wasn't in my sort of universe of understanding. And I won't say that was a failure on my part, but I will share some of the sort of the bumps and bruises and to be honest with you, some of the sort of the failures of vision as part of my learning journey and my entrepreneurial journey. I think that's some of the most powerful stuff we can share because after that journey sort of ended, in at least with Power IT in 2014, I pivoted to focusing more on just being supportive of other entrepreneurs. I became a mentor at an accelerator in Austin, Texas called Capital Factory, and I've been involved with them for 8 or 9 years now. And in that time, I've mentored 200 or so founders that were either based in Austin or actually internationally. And these are just half-hour meetings, 1-hour meetings. But in a lot of our conversations, I find that the most useful information that I can share are mistakes that I made and learnings that I made off of those mistakes and the process of that learning. Because if there's one message that will come out in my, whether we call it a workshop, I'm going to call it a conversation. But the conversation that I lead on the 17th is the importance of learning and continual learning. And you're going to make mistakes, and the velocity, if you will, or the speed with which you learn from those mistakes, that's often what separates the people that fail and terminate from the people that ultimately succeed in some shape or form, is that learning from those errors, from those mistakes, from that failure. So that's one of the key messages there.
All right. Brandon, is this something that TEDD records for posterity, an event like this?
Yeah, we do have video recording capabilities there. So if you ever come into our meeting room, you'll notice 2 gigantic televisions that look like the control room of the Death Star. So yeah, we'll be recording everything. It really allows us to do a lot of video meetings, which has become the norm now. So we do have recording capabilities there.
All right. Brandon, did you have anything you wanted to add to Tuesday's event as we wrap up the show today?
No, just wanted to add, if you have an idea or you have a business idea, we can just help you get taking those steps, get to the point where you're taking those steps to turning that into a business. And like John says, looking for tech that wants to go big, and then maybe somebody wants to go on the smaller scale. We can help all kinds there. I'll be there offering my business services. Our loan fund officer will be there, kind of letting people know about our Rural Opportunity Loan Fund and what that can do for you, as well as I believe we'll have representatives from WorkSource and then also Rural Resources as well there. So,
all right. John, what is? Do you have maybe an example of one of the things that impressed you the most about tech and on entrepreneurship? Something that maybe stands out that you were like, wow, that's amazing. Something really got you excited.
every day, every day, and less so up here. And that's just for lack of knowing. I'm definitely I'm very much a recent transplant here in the Tri-Counties area. But in Austin, where I spent, I don't know, 11 or 12 years, there's just so much. So I'll just choose one thing, and I don't know these guys personally. I've probably met the founder at some cocktail party, but there's a company called Icon, and if you watch 60 Minutes, you probably just saw the interview with their founder, Jason Ballard, I think is his name, one of their founders. Icon it's a 3D printing company. Okay, so 3D printing is pretty cool. You can pump out, oh, we have this automobile part that we have to we don't have access to it. It's from this factory and they're behind. Well, let's just print a bunch. Well, you can do that, but you can also make larger printers and print larger things. So what Icon does is they make gigantic printers, and they use cement, and they print houses. Let me repeat that. They print houses. So I became aware of Icon. I'll keep this short. I became aware of Icon, obviously just sort of bouncing around Austin, but I became really aware of them intimately when my house in Austin, they bought a property that was adjoining our property, and there was it's just sort of diagonal at the very tail of the property, and they built 4 houses there. And so they put up a wall. There's just a fence, but you could see these gigantic, exciting printers over the fence, and you could see the house going up. I mean, literally, I could stand there, and 15 feet away, I could see this house being printed.
It looks like something out of Tron.
It was. Well, funny you mention that, because I think it was last year or 2 years ago, they earned a $50 million grant to build structures on the moon with NASA.
Wow.
And and the funny thing is that's preparation for building structures on Mars. So and just like I said last Sunday, they were on 60 Minutes. So honestly, that's one example. I could have given you dozens, but they're one that's become very prominent, and I think there's an opportunity to revolutionize house building using that technology.
And that's something our society needs really bad.
Absolutely. And God bless all the contractors out there who are doing really well right now, but the rest of us that are calling and not getting our calls returned, like we need structures too, we need homes too, so we need some innovation in that space, and I think Icon is definitely producing that innovation.
All right. Any other closing words, John?
No, I just want to thank you, Scott and Brandon, for this opportunity. I want to make sure I want to thank TEDD for allowing me to participate, and for SP3NW for bringing me in as a partner in this program, and just to say I'm really optimistic about economic growth in this region that's organic and that uses tech in innovative ways. I think we've got a lot of really interesting, smart, motivated people here in Tri-Counties, and we have some sort of platforms and assets that are going to enable entrepreneurship, and I'm excited to be part of that.
Excellent. All right, John Raymond, keynote speaker Tuesday night. One more time, Brandon, time and location.
So this will be at our TEDD offices in Colville, which if you ever head up to Colville, we're right at the roundabout where, it's a grocery outlet, and we're at the end of that building near WorkSource and Rural Resources there. So we'll be holding this event on October 17th from 5 to 7:30 p.m.
Thank you guys very much for being here today. We had a big show. Thank you for sitting through it, Brandon. We really appreciate it. And thanks to you too, John Raymond. Round of applause for both of you. As I wrap things up, I also want to send out thanks to Deborah Barbary and Carolyn Jones and Brad Schaefer from Hands Across Nations for being on the show this morning. And a big one for I'm going to say it, my favorite person in Chihuahua, my co-host today, Sharon Ludwig. Thank you very much too, Sharon. I want you all to have a great day. And don't forget, you too can support public radio. Just visit kchw.org. Keep on listening and have a great day. I'm Scott Allen.
Your KCHW Morning Show, made possible by a donation from God-Fearing Brothers Auto Center. God-Fearing Brothers specializes in auto services, including repair, maintenance, and detailing. They also stock a full selection of tires, make glass repairs, offer towing, and have an auto sales lot on the corner of Highway